Evening, everyone, and welcome to our November Roundtable. I know it feels much more like September or August out there, but they're telling us things will change tomorrow. So welcome, everyone. I'm going to start with, okay, no, I just want to share my screen. Share. Okay. Right, can everyone see this?
Yep.
Okay. So this is a quote I found in keeping with and thinking about this weekend and Friday being Veterans Day. Beth, you want to read it for us?
Sure. Fallen heroes represent the character of a nation who has a long history of patriotism and honor.
So as we have tonight's meeting, thank you. Let's honor those heroes, whether they are dead or alive, and please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, and I'll ask that you all mute yourselves so that we don't have that crazy reverb. Scout salute if you're in uniform. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. And Scout sign. On my honor, I will do my best to do my duty to God and my country, to obey the Scout law, to help other people at all times, to keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight. A Scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. Too. Okay. Right. So, Greg, you have information to share with all of us.
I do. Thank you, Ellie. Welcome to our November Roundtable, everybody. With November comes our annual Night Out for Scouting. It's our Western Massachusetts Council auction. There is a dinner being offered as well. It is open to the public. I'd love to see as many of you there as possible. It is Thursday, November 17th, starts at 5:30 in the evening, as you can see on the poster there, up at the log cabin in Holyoke. And you can sign up on the website. Go there, it's /auction. If anyone has any auction items that they'd like to donate, either crafts or items that they have or services, you can reach out to Nick Thornton, and he's wrapping that up here in this next week. Lots of ways to get involved. Each of our 3 districts have their monthly meetings on our calendar. And I failed to update the date there for the council coordinated committee meeting, but down below it does say it is being moved from the 3rd Thursday because of the auction to Thursday, November 10th. So that's this week. Anyone involved with district operations, fundraising, membership, training, any of our activities for our youth, please come out and join us. We'll be putting that together this Thursday. And our next work day up at camp is the 10th of December. All right, so Art can't be with us tonight. So here is one of his updates.
Good evening, Western Massachusetts Council Scouters. Art Lobdell, your Assistant Scout Executive here for some brief updates. First of all, wanted to let you know that the open day for the Scout Shop this month is this week. On Saturday, November the 12th, we'll be open from 10 to 2. So that's the news for the Scout Shop. Also, please be aware that we will have a holiday schedule. We'll be closed on the Friday after Thanksgiving. We will also be open next on a Saturday, December the 10th. If you want to mark your calendars now for that. And we will be closed for inventory after Christmas. We'll give you more updates as we get closer on that. For popcorn, certainly want to thank all of the volunteers and scouts who've been very hard working throughout the fall for the popcorn sale. We're almost to the end. We need volunteers on Friday, December 2nd from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. to be at the warehouse in Holyoke to be able to sort orders and have them ready to go. There also will be an opportunity, only if you make arrangements in advance, to be able to take your orders on that Friday during that time period. That's between 1 p.m. and 5 p.m. on Friday, December 2nd. On Saturday, December 3rd is the day that all remaining orders must be picked up. Need to find a way to have a representative from your unit come to get that, even if the primary popcorn kernel is not available. It is between 8 a.m. and 11 a.m. Need to have all of the final popcorn orders out by that time. Units are asked and encouraged to make their popcorn payments, if they are able, by November the 12th. Again, we would appreciate every unit that's possible to make their payment earlier. We also have offered an amnesty program. If you missed one of the line items on the commission form, that making your payment early is a forgiveness for missing one line item. It's not a commission all on its own. It's not a commission for whole category, just a line item. So again, we ask you to please consider making payments by November the 12th. Otherwise, the absolute deadline is December the 9th, after which time will accrue a penalty for payment. That there's a 2% penalty on your payment after the 9th of December. So don't let that happen, anybody. Membership wise, we're doing quite well. Certainly asking folks to please continue to send in your applications as you get them. At this point in time, we ended the month of October with a membership gain of 11%. Thank you all for your hard work in recording that. We've also now surpassed the membership total that we had at the end of last year. Very exciting. Thank you for all that hard work. The question is, how many more applications will we get before the end of this year? And how far can we go in recruiting more youth for the coming year? Hopefully the goal will be that at the end of next year, when we get to this time, we'll be able to be looking at returning to a number that we had prior to pandemic hitting. We'll be looking at breaking a threshold of having 2,000 youth in the Western Massachusetts Council for the end of 2023. That's just a straw goal right now, but hopefully it is within reach. We should finish this year somewhere around 1,600, closing in on 1,700. So we hope that you continue to work all of that. And we also would like to welcome a number of new units that we have coming on. So certainly thank you for all of that activity as well. This Saturday is a new unit kickoff. We have an aviation post 1903 starting at Barnes Air Force Base, Westfield Regional Airport. It will meet 2 Saturdays a month. So it is open to all those in the 6th grade up to age 20. And we also do need several more adults to help us with that project. Thank you very much. Have a great
All right, we were notified just today by the BSA of asking us to remind all of our leaders of the Scouter Code of Conduct. As you can see on the screen there, through incident reporting, there's been a significant rise in drug and alcohol use in scouting activities in various settings. The Scouter Code of Conduct does touch on this, as well as prescription medications, and a reminder that we should consider what medications we might be on periodically, and whether we should be driving or supervising scouting activities. The long link is there, but you can find that online as well. It is something that's not explicitly listed in the adult leader application, but it is something that we signed to, that we've reviewed it, and we are agreeing to that. Also, the Gaga Ball, I've reported before, it is something that the BSA does permit to happen, but they're watching it carefully. And we don't want to see it get on the prohibited list. At least most of us don't. But there's a lot of incidents that are increasing. So reminded to have adult supervision there. BSA does expect that at all scouting activities, the youth have active adult supervision, so eyes and ears supervision at all times. And they list a suggested set of rules for Gaga, and I'll put all that in the chat with the links. As you can see here, the next 2 weeks, there will not be a Compass newsletter being sent out just due to the work that's being put into the auction, popcorn, and our chartering efforts. And here's another update from Art Lebdell.
As all of you know, recharter season is now in progress. We need to make sure that everyone is doing everything that they can as soon as they can in order to successfully navigate the charter season. It is so very important that this year, more than ever, people get their charters turned in date. There's been a target date of turning in the charters set at November the 15th. We hope to see most all of the charters turned in that day. I'd like to thank Adam Gagney for being the first one to turn in a completed charter. It has been reviewed here at Western Massachusetts Council and has been sent on to National. So thank you, Adam, for being the first charter to be completed. We have a number of days and locations that folks who might have trouble getting us the documents signed, that we will be out in the geographical area. So starting right after Thanksgiving, we have the opportunity for, I guess, what we would call the late charter pickups. So that is on November 28th, 29th, and 30th. Those details are found in the newsletter published weekly. Also, there is not a lot of other guidance we can give to people working on charters other than to keep at it in terms of across America. People are using the system right now and it's being overloaded with users. So sometimes folks are not able to push forward because of that. The only other tip we have is that most people have the most success using the browser Google Chrome and using that in the incognito mode. So those are our two tips to be able to help people. Again, a reminder, you reach the rechartering platform from going into my.scouting.org, then going to the advancement tab. Then from there, you will see a button for recharter on the far left bottom corner. So that's how you reach the recharter. In terms of paperwork, even though charters may be being completed online, submitted online, we still do need the physical paperwork to come in afterwards. There is a receipt that the units are sent. Thank you for your submission. Your charter is now complete. However, there is one more step after that. That step is you need to acknowledge that receipt. There's a button on the bottom that says acknowledge receipt. You need to hit that, print out that document, have it signed, and bring it into Western Massachusetts Council. You can bring it into Western Massachusetts Council either by emailing it, scanning it and emailing it, physically walking into the council with it, or coming to one of those late drop-off centers that we have planned in various parts of the council. So please do look at that. Please do make sure that you are getting through all of the parts of the recharter process. Thank you so much.
All right, a couple things to go along with that is if you or someone in your unit is having trouble getting into their My.Scouting to take YPT, or they're hard time getting into the Scoutbook account, we ask that you have them please contact either Lindsay Newsom. Lindsay was recently married, but her existing email still works, lindsay.broder, or myself. And we can provide the individual with what their username is listed as, and we can reset their password for them. If you hit the reset button or forgot password, it does not seem to be working, that it's initiating a change anywhere. So reach out to us. We don't want individuals to create a new account. What can happen, and most frequently does, is that their youth protection training gets put on that new account, but that's not associated with your charter and their membership. And it does take us sometimes only 5 minutes, sometimes 45 minutes to get those various accounts associated with one another and fixed for them. So we'll do that when we need to, but we'd like to avoid it as much as possible. And as Art said, even for trainings, the Google Chrome browser is preferred. BSA is recommending that people use it in incognito mode. And if they're still having trouble, clearing their cache and their cookies can be helpful with that. I know today they were reporting intermittent outages with the My.Scouting website, but the IT department is working on that. A couple program updates for everyone. WOE continues monthly. John Wilmain's looking for new programs and individuals to help with those. So if you have something you'd like to offer, you can reach out to Mr. Wilmain. For November, they are having a special for veterans and any of their members of their families to join us for $5 a person. You can see some of the activities that are already planned. Some new ones for this month. They will have the branding irons out for some mugs, or if you have some wood or belts, things that you'd like to have branded. Wood burning will also be an activity that's provided, and gem mining, it will be provided for our youth as well as some of our traditional activities. Cub Scouts list some of the dates here for things that are coming up, but we are still looking to formally identify individuals willing to host a number of our activities. So we have a date for Yukon, and our Metacomet Pinewood Derby has a date on April 15th. And our council derby is May 21st at Gary Rome, but looking for some hosts and some locations for some of our other activities there. Melanie Trexler let us know last month that the General Knox Derby is looking for a new date just due to scheduling conflict. So we'll let people know as soon as we can. And Weeblows Woods for our older Cub Scouts is the first weekend in June. Our Scouts BSA and older programs, we recently had just a little over 150 participants up at the Eve Coles Family Tree Farm for our Timber Sports camporee. So thank you to everybody that participated there. A special thanks to Mike Slogar and the individuals that helped with that really amazing event. Our Klondike Derby, we're also looking for a host for that first weekend of February. And our spring camporee will be held out in Berkshire County. Hunter McCormick let me know recently that their location has a conflict, but he is working on a new location for that, and that is scheduled for May 5th. So we hope our troops will add that to their calendars now if they haven't already. National Jamboree, our contingent is doing very well. We already have 43 individuals officially on, and 4 more people trying to make the final registrations for that. If anybody wants to join us, the cost did go up the first of this month to $2,800 per person, but the fundraisers are well underway. They just turned in orders for over 300 wreaths, and at the end of this month, those of you that are near to Belchertown, if you want to come out for dinner, you don't need any flyers or even mention anything, if you're at Antonio's Pizza between 3 and 8, 15% of all their food meals are of everyone in the restaurants being donated to the contingent, and they have some other dinners that are being finalized now. The David O'Leary is leading up a trip to Northern Tier Canoe Base. So you can reach out to him if you know of someone interested in that activity or would like a presentation for their unit for that August trip. The Order of the Arrow, just highlight the next activity here on December 10th. They are planning a holiday dinner up at the Manor House. So look for information soon about that. And the rest of their events are listed on the website. They had a beautiful weather for their fall fellowship this past weekend. About 50 people up at camp for that event. 3 individuals completed their vigil honor, and I think it was about 7 or 8 individuals completed their brotherhood honor. Training, a lot of this has been up here, but I do want to highlight there are 2 in-person youth protection training classes that are occurring later this month. The first, kind of in the middle of the page, on November 17th at the Moose Family Center in Chicopee, 6 p.m. Registration for that is on our council website calendar. And then on the 21st at the Masonic Lodge in Lee, an in-person training is being offered. All right, Ellie, that's it.
All right. Thank you. I'm going to go back to sharing my screen. I keep getting this fun little message. There we go. Okay, so for our hot topic this month, we're going to talk a little bit about leader succession planning. And could I just have like a show of hands of how many people actually have a succession plan in their unit? If you could go down to the bottom and do a raise your hand kind of a thing. I'm not seeing Beth. Okay, Aaron, Ray. Okay. And if you don't have one, why don't you? And why do you need one? Okay. So succession planning is the whole idea that there are different kinds of vacancies that pop up in our units. Sometimes they are expected and sometimes they are unexpected. We do have a unit, we lost a unit in one of our towns where it was, I kind of refer to it as the perfect storm, but and a succession plan for them may not have helped. They had someone in a leadership position who got a job transfer. That meant he and his family were moving halfway across the country. The person who was in line to be his successor came down with COVID and passed away. And then the charter organization pulled out. So it's unfortunate. We lost a unit. So even with the best of intentions, sometimes things will go wrong. And a succession plan is there to be that safety net for you. Okay. So what is it? Well, it's a plan that you have so that you can look at what's going on and think about who your possible leaders are. And is there someone who's in the wings waiting to come and help you? Okay. Which positions need a succession plan? Pretty much all of them. Okay. Den leaders, assistant scoutmasters, venture crew advisors, committee members, committee chairs. Okay. The idea of a succession plan makes sure that if something happens and someone becomes ill, or a job change happens, things continue to move smoothly for your unit so that everything keeps on meeting, things don't come to a screeching halt. Who do you get? Well, start by looking at your parents. Start also by looking at the people in your community who have been in scouting in the past and may want to get back in scouting, whether or not they have youth in scouting program. Some people look for things to do and ways to volunteer within their community. So look for those people as well, but nurture from within. And if you have someone who you think is potential, find something that they're good at, give them a little job. This is like one of Fritz's mantras, that you find, all the big jobs are taken right now, but I've got this little job for you. Could you do this one little job for me? And when that scouting bug bites them doing that little job, then you can start asking them to do bigger things and more things. And using the parent surveys, the talent surveys and the Scouts BSA surveys, looking for who are people who have information about some of the merit badges. Maybe you find some merit badge counselors among your parents that you didn't know existed. Maybe you find someone who is really good at writing blogs and would love to write things for the local newspaper. And that can become a committee person. Somebody who likes to plan events like blue and gold banquets or courts of honor, things like that. And once they've had that little taste and that bug has bitten them, that you can nurture them so that they are ready for bigger and better things. When do you do it? The idea of doing it as soon as possible, tomorrow, yesterday, if you could, okay? Making sure that you have something in place. Traditionally, it's happens with when you're doing your rechartering. So now is a good time to start thinking about, as you're asking people if they are renewing and they're coming back up, ask them if they'd be willing to be thinking about serving for something. So there is a unit succession planning worksheet that I found online from, let me see if I can, the Heart of America Council. And so I tweaked it a little bit because it was developed by them for PACs. But the instructions, no matter what your unit is, are very much the same. Look at who updates it, the unit key 3, when you're doing your program budget planning, when you're doing your journey to excellence reviews, when you're doing your charter renewal, and then also after you've had a roundup or a membership event, look at things that can be used to orient new parents. Okay, so getting the parents in is a key, and it's a huge key to getting them to join the unit as a leader. And we also at the Cub Scout level have a great way of doing this, because at the Lion and Tiger we have adult partners. And so we really do start bringing them in all along the way. Okay. Let me see where we go here. All right. Oh, my screen is freezing on me. There we go. So this is what one of the pages on the form looks like. It lists the position, who is your current person holding that position, who's coming next, who's coming after that next person, and are there comments that you should know, notes about different people or whatever. But this is something that I, like I said, I adapted. I'm hoping that it's helpful. Matt, is that something you're able to put into chat?
Yep, it's already in the chat, so you should be able to click and download the
Okay.
file from
All
the
right.
link.
Awesome. It is a Word document, so you should be able to do anything that you need to with editing. Does anybody have any comments or questions about succession planning? Okay.
I got a comment about succession planning. Be very careful how you approach it. I have actually lost families because I tried to pull people into a succession plan. They straight up never brought their kid back again. So
Oh, wow.
be very gentle and careful how you approach it.
Mhm.
Most
Mhm.
people just want somebody to babysit their kids.
Yeah, and that's where I said, try to find that one piece of interest that you get them hooked, get them on the line and
The guy
reel
with
them
the
in.
teacher, I asked him to show the kids about bear tracks, and he never came back.
Mm. Mhm. Wow.
Yeah, it's tough out there.
Okay. All right.
That's surprising. I would have thought it'd be more in the other direction. If you have people trying to talk about succession planning, that they think you're trying to find a way to get rid of somebody in one of the positions and get those filled ahead of time. But I wouldn't have thought of it the other way.
Mm. So, right. Okay. If you have other questions or comments about succession planning, please throw them into chat because we do have time leader forum before we do our closing. So at this point, we can head to our breakout sessions for 25 minutes, please, Greg.
Good evening, everybody. So tonight we're going to be talking about a blue and gold. So who here knows what a blue and gold is? Ellie? Craig? Anybody else? Craig, you want to tell us what a blue and gold is?
It's basically a birthday party for scouts.
Okay.
You get to have all the families get together, celebrate what the kids have been doing, and have a good time all together. And a lot of the time you get family members that don't see what's going on for the rest of the year to show up and take part.
Absolutely. Do we know when the birthday is for Scouts BSI?
February, I believe, technically.
Yeah, February 8th. It started in 1910. Anybody want to take a guess and use the math and figure out how many years we're celebrating this year? James?
112.
We're going to be celebrating 113 years in February.
Oh yeah, 22
All
now.
right. All right. So who here has planned a blue and gold banquet before?
Part of one.
Part of one?
Planned several.
Okay. So when we start to plan a blue and gold banquet, we want to think about a timeline. So typically we have them at the beginning of February, and they usually take place of our February PAC meetings, where we have our rank advancements and badges and things like that. So we kind of want to start thinking about getting planning sooner than later. And I was sitting down looking at the calendar just beforehand, and you kind of want to start planning like 9 to 11 weeks out. So which means by the end of this month, you want to really start planning your blue and gold. You want to make sure you have people who are parents who are willing to help to be on a blue and gold committee to help put the event together. And then, a week or so later, you want to have a meeting. You want to go over, decide a theme, decide on the date, entertainment. You want to divvy up your responsibilities, and whether you're going to have it at your usual location or if you're going to have it at a different venue, whether you're going to have it at a banquet or you're going to be at a restaurant or things like that. And then you're going to want to make sure your venue is booked if you're going that route. I'm gonna make sure it fits everybody's budget. By mid-December, if you want to send out invitations, include the date, the time, the cost, if you're at a banquet hall, the theme. You also want to make sure you can send it out as a paper copy. You can send it out as an email. If you're going to do it as an email, you can set it up to remind them in their calendars. If there is a cost for the event, you can consider using Venmo to collect the money from parents instead of actually having to track them down and say, did you write me a check or do you have cash at the meeting? Let's see. If you guys have decided to do a potluck style dinner, you want to make sure by the beginning of January, you have a plan for meals, whether you're going to have so many people do a main dish, dessert, and things like that, and have a sign-up sheet ready for them to go. And by the end of January, you want to hold your final meeting. Make sure you have all your decorations, everything you need to go for your blue and gold, so it goes smoothly on the day of the event. So we all know we always end up with little bumps and bruises, little bumps in the road. So more you can plan ahead of time, the better it is. So there are different types of banquets. You can do a potluck dinner for your scouts where your families can bring in main dishes. You can have them bring in a salad, a dessert, or whatever. It's up to you guys how to decide how you guys want to break that down. Another idea is you guys can cook your own food, kind of like planning for a camp out. The whole pack sits down, plans out what you guys want to eat. And then you come up with a menu, and there's, then you'll end up with a charge for the cost of the food. And, oh, let's see, there's other ones. There's one I have here that I came across the other day. I haven't seen it before. It's called a box supper one. And what it is that you ask each family member to bring a one-box supper for each family member, and you collect them at the door, and you auction them off for a pack fundraiser, and everybody takes their little meal, and you can sit down together and have a dinner that way. Let's see. You can also have your event, your blue and gold, at a restaurant. And another fun type of banquet is just having a plain old birthday party where you have no food, but you have cake and ice cream, and you celebrate Scouting's birthday. All right. And some different ideas for traditions, things that you might want to do and add in as entertainment. You might want to invite in local dignitaries, as it is a special event on the Scouting calendar. You might recognize the significance of the time of transition for your scouts that are your AOLs that are going into Scouts BSA. So the local dignitaries, you might want to invite your mayor, your city councilor, anybody who is willing to come, even the faith leaders that you have that are connected with your unit. You may also want to feature a slideshow of pictures that you guys have done in the past year with your unit. Any of your campouts, any of your hikes, even just pictures that you've had throughout your dinner meetings and things like that. Summer camp. It's a great way to show off your activities that you've done, and if you have Your scouts who are bringing their friends in so they can see everything that's going on. This actually makes a really great recruiting tool as well. So they get to see everything you've done and it's like, oh, that's really cool. I like that. I might want to join Scouts too. Well, let's see. Another idea is to honor your advancements. So you may have Scouts that are getting ready to cross or will be crossing over from AOLs into Scouts BSA. So you can also have your crossover ceremonies then as well. Also, it's a great time for your dens to have, excuse me, you can have your dens have skits. It's a great time. All the kids love to perform and do something, have a song, have a skit, runs. It's a great time for them to practice their showmanship. Another tip for planning your banquet is you want to make sure you're involving your Cub Scouts. Get them excited, get them engaged in wanting to be there. So having them part of the decisions, whether they're deciding on what your guys are going to be eating, your decorations, things like that. I know for my pack, we're doing a birthday party theme, so they're going to be making piñatas, and we're going to be hanging them up at the meeting before. They're going to make their piñatas, and they're going to take them home, decorate them, and then they get to hang them up. And then we'll put candy in them, and it'll be their decision if they break them open or just dump them out and have their candy. Let's see. And their idea or thought is if you have somebody who is willing to take pictures, you can have a picture booth. So they have a memorabilia that they can put in their photo album. Sometimes you can also rent the photo booths, and they can have make all the silly and goofy faces that they like, and they get that little strip there that they have. And another thing to remember as you're planning is to remember to delegate, reach out for help, so ask somebody, I have a small task, can you help me with this? So you're not doing everything all together. So at this time, we have some time left over so we can talk about plans that you guys all have or questions.
No real questions. I mean, for us, we have the same venue that we tend to use from year to year for blue and gold. So that makes that part pretty straightforward. Right now, we're in the middle of figuring out what we're going to be doing as far as the food component. Last year, we had somebody cater for us. This year, we're trying to see if we can have that just done a little bit more in-house, try and save on the cost a little bit and bring that down. I think we're just trying to keep everything moving forward, make sure that we start getting some of the games and everything else picked out for the kids and have that set up. I think we're tentatively good on a theme, but that's, always something everybody has some ideas about. And I think that's going to be the next thing we settle on.
Okay.
But I mean, there's so much that goes into it, and it's good to be able to have breakout groups of a few people that really just have an interest in decorating or an interest in, trying to figure out what you're going to have for any particular aspect of it. So.
Absolutely.
Rebecca, what site did you find that boxed dinner at? Or
Something
Roughly.
Ellie sent me. Hang on, let me go.
Yeah.
Let me see.
okay,
I'll look it up too.
Where is my email from Ellie?
have to rent a few microwave ovens.
Yeah, you could do that. Oh, no, it's not that far back. Where is it?
It was from over the weekend and I'm looking at one to see if
Oh,
I've
yeah.
got it.
Oh, here it is. Let's see.
Because I sent you a few different things so-
You did.
and I'm
the-
trying to find out which one it was. Um,
Okay. Chat.
The other thing that I just saw today, looking for things,
Paste.
is thinking outside the box. Instead of a
There's
dinner,
one.
do breakfast,
Ah,
Yeah.
like a pancake breakfast. And then you're kind of, along with all of the issues around sports and games and everything else, you may end up with actually being a better time for everything. Okay, this was, what's open? I love trying to honor things, open things on my phone while I'm
Here we go.
online with my computer.
Oh, while we're at it. Hmm. There is, if you're
See if
looking
I
for
can do-
decorations, the Scout office has decorations. So, Scout office has decorations. So they have all sorts of things that are blue and gold. They've got tabletops, they've got cupcake holders and liners and all sorts of good stuff. So there's that. You got napkins, tablecloths, cups, plates, you name it, they have it. And looks like they even have, I think that's a corkboard. So if
Yes.
you're looking, if you're looking for stuff, they have it.
Okay. I remember seeing that boxed dinner in the
Yeah.
one of the emails I sent to you, and can I find it now? Oh,
No, it's
yes,
one of them
Here-
I stuck it in the link.
here it is. Okay, you did find it?
I did. It's the
All right.
middle one in the link.
Yeah, the Heart of America Council. All right,
Yes.
okay. Found it.
Mhm.
Right. So another thing I have seen recommended is that a lot of times when we think about blue and gold banquets or celebrations of scouting, we do the meal and then we do all of the awards after, or the skits and the songs and some of those things after. If we move some of that up front, we are not asking the youth to sit and be quiet. We're asking them to be involved while the food line is being set up, so that we're getting some of the programming element of it out of the way before we eat, and then you can continue with additional parts of the program afterwards. Some people have some really great guest speakers. We had, when I was Cub Master a gazillion years ago, one of the people in town here had climbed Mount Everest. And so he came in with all of his gear, and there is nothing that makes you worry more than having someone like that hand a $400 pair of sunglasses around for all of the youth to just kind of look at and touch and feel and play with. And it's, I was panicking, hoping everything was fine with those glasses, but the kids absolutely loved it. Things like cake and ice cream, those are pretty easy kinds of things to do. The other thing that we did one time, and I think it was a district event, was we had all different people baking cakes and bringing in, and it was just like a dessert party, but some of the cakes were auctioned off. So that was a fun element too. And especially if the youth are baking the cake with a parent or an adult.
A cake auction or a silent auction, you can do that too.
Mhm. What do other people do? Aaron, you've got a hand up.
So what we did last year is we had our bear den that was working on the requirement that had the bear carnival. So we had them we had the blue and gold with the Cub Scout portion. Then we also had our crossover for the Arrow of Light. So what we did is we kind of broke it up a little bit and we did the blue and gold ceremony. We had them break and go downstairs and work on the bear carnival. And then the bears were able to run their carnival, but keep the younger scouts busy because we didn't have any older scouts at the time, except for the 2 that were crossing over. And then that gave them a nice little break. And then they went back upstairs for the crossover. So it wasn't a lot of sitting and waiting. It was kind of, sit, do something, sit, and then they could go back and play more games at the end.
Oh, awesome. That sounds really cool. I see a hand raised, James. James, are you with us?
Yep.
Okay, I see your hand raised. Did you have a comment or something?
She asked everybody to raise their hand if they plan the blue and gold, so.
Oh, okay, yeah. What tips do you have for us?
None really. They just kind of come together. Like the last minute to make plans work. Don't set your expectations too high and be flexible. I guess
Yeah,
those are my biggest tips.
I think you're right about that. Don't set your expectations too high. As adults, we tend to have high expectations. Kids don't care.
Mm-mm.
The kids don't care.
We've done a pizza party with a magician and the kids had a blast. We've done a
Mhm.
pizza party with a carnival game setup. The kids had a blast. We've done sit down dinners with awards. Kids had a blast.
Mhm.
It's really, I mean, the world's your oyster.
Mhm.
Yep.
Mhm. Yep.
Yeah, you can always do it some minute to minute games too.
Yeah, that was that
Great.
carnival thing, was the minute to win it style, move them along.
Yep.
Mhm.
Be careful with smoke machines and fire detectors in schools, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. I do have a question for people. Do you tend to do 2 separate events, a blue and gold banquet and a separate crossover? Or do you do a blue and gold banquet, do your advancement and then roll everything into a crossover for the Arrow of Lights?
Since I'm already unmuted, my pack goes back and forth on that a lot.
Hmm.
Really depends on who's Cub Master and trying to pinch pennies. If we're trying to save money, we'll try to combine the 2. If the den's really insistent on having their own ceremony, like I was for my son, then we have our own separate ceremony.
Mhm.
And our den actually raised their own funds to hold their ceremony, so the Cub Master had nothing to complain about at that time.
Wow.
But yeah, it really goes back and forth with us as far as really what the families want to do.
Mhm. Mhm.
Typically in Palmer, we usually have separate ceremonies, but because we only had 2 scouts crossing over, we decided to just kind of piggyback it on because everybody was already there. So the families decided just have it on the same day. So that's why we did it together last year.
Our unit varies back and forth depending on who's crossing over.
Yeah.
And how many.
Bob, you're up in Northfield area, right? How do you do things up there? Because that's kind of way up there. I think you have to unmute. There we go.
Every way that you guys have mentioned, I've done a lot of them. I've done all those different kinds. I just sat down with my committee last night and started talking about blue and gold. And we're starting to put all that together right now. So I got a gut feeling they're gonna be looking at me doing most of it. Since most of my committee is fairly new scouters. I mean, to go from a pack that disintegrated back in 2018 to where I am now with 20 kids and just got 3 more last night. So, you know, we're growing and we're having fun at it, and
Mhm.
we've got the community involved. So, you know, I'll be throwing some wrinkles into it. I usually will.
Let's talk about succession now. Today's topic is actually going to be the patrol method. It's sort of a continuation of the last in-person roundtable that we did. So let me, I guess, start the video. That way you can see something besides, there we go, besides a black screen. So this is content that's right from National Council. It's prepared material regarding the patrol method, and we'll have some opportunity for questions, answers, and discussions at the end of this video. So hopefully everyone can hear the video that I'm about to play. And if you can't, just shout out and I'll do what I can to adjust the volume.
Lord Baden-Powell, the founder of Scouting, said, "The patrol system is not one method in which Scouting can be carried on. It is the only method. In order to truly achieve the aims of the Scouting program to their fullest, the patrol method must be at the center of the troop's operation." In his Aids to Scoutmastership, Baden-Powell writes, "The patrol system is the one essential feature in which Scout training differs from that of all other organizations, and where the system is properly applied, it is absolutely bound to bring success. It cannot help itself. The formation of the Scouts into patrols of 6 to 8 and training them as separate units, each under its own responsible leader, is the key to a good troop. The patrol is always the unit of Scouting, whether for work or for play, for discipline or for duty. An invaluable step in character training is to put responsibility on the individual. Your troop should understand the patrol method gives real responsibility to as many Scouts as possible. Each patrol member learns they have a definite responsibility for the good of the troop. Scouts BSA Scouters must remember the troop is not divided into patrols, but rather is comprised of patrols. The patrols, through the Patrol Leaders Council, plan and conduct the troop program. Within the patrol, the Scout learns to work with others as a team and has a chance to be a participating citizen. Being in a patrol will be the first time most young people have to rely upon themselves and others to follow an array of necessary steps to satisfy an objective that requires a wide range of life skills, like promoting personal fitness. Like any team, a patrol will function well only as long as all particular responsibilities pertaining to the completion of a task are carried out successfully. Because of its size, this gives every member an opportunity to participate, and this in itself results in some positive outcomes. Contributing to the patrol success provides a welcoming sense of belonging, of being appreciated, and a feeling of competency resulting in better self-esteem. As a Scouter in your troop, you might have your Patrol Leaders Council and fellow Scouters look at the way your troop is structured regarding patrol formation. Your troop should decide which concept works best for them. Example of patrols are mixed age patrols and same age patrols. A mixed age patrol is made up of Scouts of all ages and ranks. Each patrol always has members who needs to learn Scouting skills and members who are able to teach those skills. Each patrol also has experienced leaders and members who will need leadership experience. These patrols are fairly evenly matched for games and skill competitions. With this concept, all members do not age out at the same time. Same age patrols consist of new Scout patrols, regular patrols, and older Scout patrols. The new Scout patrol is made up of youth who just became Scouts. The troop guide works closely with the elected patrol leader, along with an assistant Scoutmaster. The regular patrols in your troop normally consist of Scouts who have earned the rank of first class or higher. Members of a regular patrol have similar interests and abilities. They enjoy spending time together and may well be friends outside of Scouting. Ideally, they have chosen to be in the same patrol. A new Scout should join a regular patrol if there are not enough newcomers to form a new Scout patrol, or if they were invited to join the troop by an older buddy. Older Scout patrols serve those Scouts who want to pursue more challenging high-adventure outings and sport activities while remaining in the troop. These Scouts often have a been-there, done-that attitude, so their patrol activities offer them new challenges while keeping them involved in troop leadership. You might think of the older Scout patrol as a safety valve. This concept can be very helpful if you have older Scouts who may not be interested in engaging your younger Scouts during troop meetings and activities, or if you have a retention problem. When deciding which patrol structure will work best for your troop, remember, an invaluable step in character training is to put responsibility on the individual. Only by allowing the Scouts to succeed or fail on their own can they understand the importance of being responsible for their actions. Okay, please take the remainder of this breakout session to discuss the questions on the screen. Thanks for watching, and Scout on.
Okay, so as you saw, we have discussed or shown a video regarding the patrol method. And if you were at last month's roundtable, we did kind of an example of what a patrol leaders council meeting looks like. But as you can see, we're kind of focusing on the patrol method a lot for the last couple of months. What I'd like to do is just have everyone, if you wouldn't mind, unmute so we can have a discussion regarding the patrol method and how it works in your troops that you help with. So please, if you could unmute your microphone, and let's have a discussion regarding the first question. What are some of the results you expect to see from the use of the patrol method in your troop? Does anyone like to volunteer to answer that?
I'll go first. So I'm a new Scoutmaster as of January of this year. And we're going through like a restructure as we've grown coming out of COVID. So a lot of the results, that we're aiming for, and we're really starting to see now as everyone gets back to a Scout-led meeting program. I like seeing that the youth are actually being the leaders, especially with new Scouts that have just joined over the last month. The teamwork that they've shown at Camporees, that's what I expected, and I'm seeing those results. Hopefully it's right.
That sounds ideal. So you're experiencing some challenges, but also realizing some benefits in that you're seeing teamwork and some results, and probably some people maturing a little bit in the patrols.
Absolutely. The growth in the individual Scout has just blown my mind. We had 5 new Scouts cross over in June, attended summer camp, and it was just amazing what 1 week did for an individual. And I'm still seeing that growth. Even the parents are like, "What did you do with my kid?"
That's great. That's fantastic. Thanks for sharing, Matt. And congratulations on your relatively new Scoutmaster role. That sounds like a challenge, and I'm glad that you're having some success with it. I'm glad you're here to kind of share that success and hopefully get some answers. Would anyone else like to talk about some results that they would expect to see from the patrol method in their troops? Okay, let's see, it looks like somebody, oh, that's fine. So I would say that from my personal experience as a scout, I remember, even though it was quite a while ago, I remember being the young guy in the patrol and kind of being mentored and sort of brought along the program by some of the older scouts. And then as I got older and moved up through the ranks, I recall kind of being the mentor myself and kind of that ability to transfer the knowledge that I had learned from the scouts before me into the younger scouts, and how it helped me to develop leadership skills. So that's an example of something I would hope that you'd see in the patrol method. I remember conflicts. I remember working through conflicts. So that was sort of a great skill that I learned. I remember working with people I didn't necessarily always get along with, or kind of want to get along with, but kind of being forced to realize that maybe they aren't the worst person in the world, and maybe actually I could kind of learn to like them. So new friendships, things like that, were things that came out of being in a patrol. So those are some things that I got out of it. And would anyone else like to comment on some things that they're seeing in their patrols?
So I just see from the sidelines because I'm the committee chair. But what our Scoutmaster has been doing is we have mixed patrols, and it can get kind of hard with the younger kids over and over again, same thing over and over again. So he's been giving the older kids their own little slot of time. Like say if they're going on a camp out Saturday morning, the older kids, okay, they're going with these 2 leaders to go on a hike, while the other 2 leaders stay here with the younger ones to work on this. So it's kind of a mixture between the two. Like, yeah, they have mixed patrols, but they're having their own time with their own age. So it seems to be working well, especially with the younger ones just crossing over.
Good. Yeah, I think there is a lot of opportunity for the older scouts to kind of bring the younger ones along, and hopefully that's what you're seeing in that. And it sounds like the kind of hybrid approach that you're using is working in that regard. Kind of leads into the next question, maybe. Under what circumstances do you think that the Scoutmaster should defer to the patrol leader? When does it make sense for the Scoutmaster to refer back to the patrol leader?
Matt?
Yeah.
I defer to the patrol leader, the SPL most of the time. I'd have to say, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong with this question, but I think in the majority of the situations, it's more my SPL than me.
That's good. No, that's a good sign if your senior patrol leader and patrol leaders are able to handle a lot of the questions that are coming out of the younger scouts or the scouts with questions. That's a good sign that they're prepared and probably have the answer. Maybe a better question would be, when shouldn't you? But I think, you know, in times when there are questions of, you know, safety or maybe some sort of ethical questions, you might need to have the Scoutmaster answer them, or at least guide the answer. But a majority of the time, the older scouts or the more senior scouts are probably going to have the answers that the younger scouts are looking for. So, yeah.
I was going to say, for the question as you've stated it, don't we all own a shirt that says "Ask Your SPL"?
I was going to mention that there are a lot of shirts out there that say that. Yeah. So those shirts are probably not just made for the you know, fun of it. In reality, it's almost every time. So a good answers.
I think to go off what you said, like about actually when I think we have had a good example. Last month, our troop was doing American Heritage for their theme. So, you know, it got into a lot of political things when talking about about some people in history, discussions. And I think I only intervened to remind them how a proper interaction works to get them to listen to all sides. And I think that was the only time I, got in on the conversation, was just to remind them how to have a productive conversation where they're actively listening to each other.
Yeah, so you were kind of just setting the stage for a polite conversation versus maybe an argument or something that was not as friendly as it should have been. Yeah, it sounds appropriate. Emergencies are another time when a scout leader might have to step in quickly. A lot of us who have been through Wood Badge probably recall at least one of the communication sessions where we discussed when it's appropriate to sort of be a directive leader versus a leader who takes everything into account and listens to everybody first before making a decision. So I think emergencies would be an example of another time where a scouter might have to step in over the youth, but most of the time the youth can definitely be the first line of defense, so to speak, for answering questions. Who else would like to discuss a little bit about how the patrol method is working or not working in their troop? I can give some examples of both in my experience, but I'd love to hear from anybody else in the call just to kind of hear how it's working, or if you're struggling with any of the parts of this.
Well, I'll share when we started our troop a little under 4 years ago. It was really miserable. So I'm pleased that our new leader is enjoying it. But it was a girls' troop, and you know what? There were no other older girls to teach anything. So it was awful. Our scout leader and the assistants kind of had to hover because nobody had tote and chit. Nobody had firemen. And so it took probably 6 months before they were off and running. But that starting period was much harder on the adults, I think, than on anyone else. And for whatever reason, our troop hovers around the 10 active people at all times, 10 active scouts limit, which isn't quite enough for 2 patrols because, one person from each patrol doesn't show up, and then you have patrols of 4, and that's not quite enough. And that's really been our biggest problem. We have only had 1 patrol the entire time it's been a troop, because every time we get close to that magic 12 active scouts, someone disappears. And then someone new might come in, but you never have all 12 there at the same time. I don't know what's up with that.
You're not the only person that deals with that, believe me. I remember being in a smaller troop and being kind of absorbed into another patrol at least once or twice in my experience. So it's definitely a challenge to try to get that, like you said, magic number of about 12 would be ideal for 2 patrols. Does anyone else have that issue in their troop?
Yeah, we have that issue. We have, the 2 new scouts that just joined brought us up to 15, 16. We're going to be losing 1 though, because he just hasn't really shown up at all this year. But we've only had, since the beginning of the troop in 2018, they've only had 1 patrol. So when my son joined the troop in 2021, they had now had 2 patrols, but it's the same thing. There's only 4 kids in 1 patrol and 5 kids in another. Like, we don't even have a patrol leaders council because there was nobody else to do a council. They were just doing it among themselves. Like, I still don't even know how that whole part works, but with the new scouts that just joined, we'll actually have a 3rd patrol. So we'll have like 6 in 1, 5 in another, and then 5 in the 3rd one.
Yeah, that's definitely a challenge. I would definitely start training on the Patrol Leaders Council because, as you heard in the video, and as probably some of the folks in this call can attest, that's where the leadership can really start to form for some of the older scouts or for some of the more experienced scouts when then they're running those meetings within a meeting, so to speak. There are trainings available for you as a newer leader to learn that, and it's something, if you could potentially go to another troop that's doing that successfully and see how they operate, maybe that's an opportunity as well if you don't get the opportunity to do a training as quickly as you'd like, or maybe the online material isn't quite as interactive or helpful as you'd think, but hopefully another troop nearby might be able to show you kind of how they operate, and you can sort of bring some of those skills, bring your senior patrol leader or your patrol leaders with you if you can, so they can see it's a really
Matt?
Yes.
So we have the same situation in my troop and as Beth and the other gentleman, and our troop actually learned from Beth's troop about PLCs with a small group, and I'm not sure if Beth is still doing it this way, but we have 10 scouts in our troop, 8 active. We do have 2 separate patrols, but often, you know, when we don't have everybody there, they work together. But our PLCs, because we're so small, we often have them during like our campouts every month. And because we're so small, everyone in our troop has a role. So our troop is our PLC. And it has been really successful. And I think another great thing, and I don't know if Beth agrees, they're all learning that role together, you know, and so now as we get younger ones in, they're learning how to lead by being involved that way. So Beth, thank you for showing us, and I wanted to pass that along because it really helped our troop grow.
That's kind of how we're functioning right now, where, you know, the patrol leaders are leading a meeting and basically having a, you know, powwow of, you know, what do you guys want to do, you know, planning their camp outs, you know, they're involving the rest of them rather than just having the patrol leaders meet and do the planning.
Yeah. There's nothing that says that the other members of your troop can't sort of observe the Patrol Leaders Council. So it sounds like that's a good opportunity. And it sounds like that's kind of what you came to that conclusion of. That's how they do it during the Wood Badge course as well. So you kind of, as you're pretending to be patrols and patrol leaders, everybody kind of sits around the outside and observes what's happening. So that sounds like you kind of came to that realization, and it sounds like Beth offered that as well to Monique and her group. So that's great.
I'm not taking credit for that, but I did participate.
Take credit, you deserve it. But I'll say that, I mean, as a venturing leader, we don't have patrols, we just have a crew, and we have a similar situation where kind of everybody becomes an officer because of the smaller group. So yeah, it's sort of a struggle I think a lot of smaller units deal with, and it sounds like everyone's coming to some creative solutions to help kind of build that. We only have 40 seconds left in this breakout session, so I want to thank everybody for their commentary and participation. I hope that you get a little bit out of this, and hope that you continue to join us at roundtables and breakouts. And if you have additional questions or have topics that you'd like us to discuss at future sessions, please share that with us. We want to be as helpful as we can to everybody in the breakout. So I think we're doing our best, but it's the more feedback we get from everybody, the more helpful it'll be. So thank you again, and we'll see you back in the big session in a few seconds.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back. So did we have anything put into chat for Leader Forum? Anybody have anything they want to bring up or mention?
Ellie, where's the next roundtable going to be?
Matt, what would you like to tell us about the next roundtable?
Well, I was happy to announce that our next roundtable will be again in person, hopefully relatively central to some of us in Springfield, again at the TD Bank Center on Main Street. We'll put the address in the registration page on the council website, but the first Monday in December, we will be at the TD Bank Center, which is downtown Springfield, with free parking behind. From 7 to 8 or so.
And
Are
last
you
month,
also going to have that as a Zoom?
Yeah, we'll do
Yes.
our best to do the same we did last time. We'll try to do a hybrid so people who aren't able to get there can still attend and participate.
Yeah, well, I look at a 2-hour ride one way, so.
Yeah, I understand that. Uphill both ways?
Yeah.
yeah. And we understand that, and it's difficult because I know we're getting requests for stay remote, make it in person, and I feel sometimes like I'm in a tug of war. But I think with this, I think we'll have a better setup with technology this next time. We found a few bugs at the October meeting, but I think we're hoping that we will do better and make it even better this time around. And then we have 2 more chances scheduled over the course of the rest of this year, one in February and one in April, to do some live things again. So we're hopefully going to pull that together and again make them a hybrid kind of situation. So Matt, did TJ make it in at all to the meeting? No.
No, he just passed on the material, so I was able to present it on his behalf.
Okay. All right.
I do have his closing material if you want me to do that.
Oh, you too. Okay, great. So next month will be the Cub Scout breakout. We're going to be talking about the Pinewood Derby. The hot topic, we're going to be talking about the Peace Light. I know Rebecca Joshua out in AT, people know about Peace Light, and in the eastern part of General Knox, we know about Peace Light. Beth, you and some of the other people who have come, I think the last time we actually did an in-person Peace Light was 2018 or 2019. And we were able to share the Peace Light then. But we'll talk about that and what it is and how it works. And then the other breakout for the Scouts BSA, Venturing, and Sea Scouts, they'll be talking about the National Honor Patrol Award. But also, if you have any questions or anything that you'd like for topics, the things that are on your mind, please funnel them to me either through chat if it's during this, or through Greg. Greg can get information to me as well. So, and you know, we'll work. We're here to work with you and for you. So, we want to make sure that we're hitting on things that are of interest to all of you. And with that, I will say personally, thank you all for joining us tonight, and I'll turn it over to Matt for our closing.
Thank you. If everyone could prepare themselves for prayer. For Scouting is reverent. We thank you, God, for Scouting and all it means to us. We thank you for the fun and the things we learn to do and the opportunities of helping other people, which is our way of trying to serve you. Amen.
Everyone have a great Veterans Day, wonderful Thanksgiving, and we will see you. Oh, for those of you who are going to College of Commissioner Science, I hope it's a very fruitful weekend for you, and we will see you in December. Take care.